Hi everyone, today we've got a derivative and normal equation question. So consider the curve y equals 4x cubed minus 2 over x squared. First question is find dy dx. So the first thing I'm going to do, and let's do it down here, is I'm just going to rewrite the equation. So y equals 4 x cubed, and I'm going to bring the denominator of x squared up to the top. So I'm going to have minus 2 times x to the power of negative 2. I haven't actually found the derivative yet, so that's why I'm keeping it as y equals out the front. Next line, I will find the derivative. So I'm going to change the symbol at the front, dy dx equals. This is where I do my little rule of derivatives. I'll get a different color. I'm going to take the power and I'm going to multiply it by the coefficient, and then I'm going to drop the power by 1. So let's do that. I'm going to have 3 times 4 is 12. X to the power of 3 minus 1, which is 2. Let's do it again for the next term. Negative 2 times negative 2 is positive 4, so plus 4. X to the power of negative 3, because negative 2 minus 1 is negative 3. Now let's just tidy this up a little bit. We're going to have 12x squared plus 4 over x to the power of positive 3. And we have satisfied A. We have found dy dx. For B, it says, write down the gradient of the curve at x equals 1. So we are going to use the derivative that we just found, and we are going to let x equal 1. So dy dx, which is the gradient, remember, equals 12 times 1 squared plus 4 over x cubed is really going to be 1 cubed. So 1 squared is 1, 12 times 1 is just 12, plus 4 divided by 1 cubed, well, 1 cubed is just 1 times 1 times 1, which is 1. So this is going to be plus 4. 12 plus 4 is 16. So dy dx when x equals 1 is 16. That question is only worth 1 mark. So you get an answer, or you get a mark for the correct answer of 16. Last question, it says, find the equation of the normal to the curve at x equals 1. So if you have forgotten what the normal is, I'll do a quick sketch over here. I've got an axis, I've got some equation, whatever, and I have at, let's say right at that point there that I'm drawing in, I've got a tangent. Let's see if this is going to give me a straight line. I've got a tangent right at that point. The normal is going to be perpendicular. So let's do something kind of like that. It's going to be perpendicular to the tangent right at a given point. So this is useful information. If I go back to the question, it says, find the equation of the normal to the curve at x equals 1. So we know m1 equals 16. We know that m2, or we don't know rather, what m2 is yet, but we do know that m1 times m2 equals negative 1. Why do we know that? Because we know back at my diagram that those two lines are perpendicular to each other, and we know that two lines that are perpendicular to each other, their gradients multiplied together equal negative 1. So I'm going to sub in 16. So I've got 16 Oh, that's not 16. I've got 16 times m2 equals -1. So m2 equals -1 divided by 16. And we can just keep that as a fraction just to make it a bit easier. So now let's summarize what we have. We have y equals mx plus c. Well, m is really -1 over 16, x plus c. Next thing that we know that when x is 1, y, so let's go down here. Let's sub x equals 1 into, not the derivative, but into the original. So if we remember, my original equation was this: y equals 4x cubed minus 2 over x squared. So I'll just rewrite that. We've got y equals 4x cubed minus 2 over x squared. Let me just check I've written that correctly. Yes. Okay, now let's let x equal 1. So I'm going to have y equals 4 times 1 cubed minus 2 divided by 1 squared, which is just going to be 1 anyway. So 1 cubed is 1, 4 times 1 is 4. 2 over 1 squared is the same thing as 2 over 1, which is just 2. So 4 minus 2 is 2. So what do we know? We know that when x is 1, y is 2. So now let's sub the coordinate when x is 1, y is 2 into my equation up here. Maybe let me highlight this. Into my equation up here for us trying to figure out the normal. So let's do this. Now we're going to have, instead of y, we have got 2 equals -1 over 16 times x. So we'll do this times 1 plus c. Well, -1 divided by 16, all of that times 1 is just going to be the same thing, plus c, and we want to try and get c by itself. So the opposite of minus 1 over 16 is to plus 1 over 16. So we're going to have 2 plus 1 over 16 equals c. So c equals, we could probably leave this as a fraction, but let's do this. So we're going to have 2 plus 1 over 16 equals, and we get 33 over 16. 33 over 16. That was c, remember? So back to my highlighted equation. Now we have figured out what that c value is. So I'm going to summarize everything. We've got y equals -1 over 16 x plus 33 over 16. That is the normal equation. So let's have a final quick check. That question is worth 3 marks. So you get a mark for a gradient of -1 over 16. You get a mark for showing that y equals 2. Down here, we figured out that y equals 2. And then you get a mark for the correct final equation.